So, Jim, you've spent some time as a conductor on the Downeaster. Can you tell us about what the procedures are when there's an accident?
Yep. Okay. In my 15 years, I had four fatalities. Three were suicides, and one was a very unobservant trespasser. And they're trespassers, is what they are. Trespasser on the tracks. When something like this happens, first thing you'll hear is the horn being laid on, for and not letting up on the horn. Whenever I would hear that, and I was told this by Peter McHugh, um, and my first year here was when you hear anything like that, the horn that shouldn't be there, sit down, and hang on to something. Then I'll hear the engineer release the air in the brakes, and you hear the air dump onto each car, and then the train begins a very quick deceleration. So I know something's wrong, and the conductor will try to get away from the passengers and either go into the vestibule, whatever, to talk to the engineer out of earshot of the passengers. Then get the lowdown from the engineer after seeing if he or she is okay. That's my first priority is he or she okay? And then they will give me then they'll load down on what happened. First thing I'm going to do is go on the PA or the AC will and announce that, folks, the train is safe, we're all safe, but we just had a trespasser incident. We just had an incident, a trespasser incident, and we now have to wait for the police and other first responders to arrive on scene. And then I also would add that this is not my first time with this kind of an incident, and that we will be here for approximately, to allow the first responders to do their jobs from start to finish, be here for approximately 3 to 4 hours. So I give them the bad news. The Bedford one, it just happened. I talked to the crew on that. 10:52, they had the strike. 10:58, the cops were on scene. Bedford, for better or worse, they have a lot of of these kind of incidents on their such a track. They have done with science, and they were there within, like I said, they were there within 6-7 minutes on scene. The conductor will go on the ground and has to, the engineer tells them kind of where you might locate the person. So we go on the ground and we have to find, the person.
So what was the effect on you? What is the effect on the rest of the crew?
Sure. The engineer, he or she, when it's imminent, the strike, there's some people will close their eyes and lift their feet off the floor, the engineer, so they don't see or feel, the thud. Veteran engineers will have 20 or more under their belt. Peter McHugh told me on the average, it's around 17 to 20, during a 30-year career. So almost one every year. And so the engineer, he or she, well, the crew gets 3 days off. We see videos of engineers who have PTSD. I mean, and they've quit, Amtrak. They've resigned, and they've had enough, and so they went on video, and gave their testimonial, so. And yeah, it's just like you see like a Vietnam veteran, a war veteran, PTSD. The engineer, and it happened here on the Downeaster, the engineer can refuse, in the future, to operate that locomotive ever again. And it's happened here where the locomotive pool will send up, they'll assign engine number, whatever to Portland, and it comes up here, and that engineer has history with that engine, in a fatality or whatever. He or she has refused operating it, and so the engine will go back and they'll get a new one.
Thank you, Jim, for sharing your experience, insight, and concern. We're distraught that people decide that they're going to lay on the railroad tracks, rise up and hug each other just as the train hits them. But we're also concerned about the professionals who day in, day out keep the trains going.
Oh yeah, and we know that it's part of the job. It comes with the territory, unfortunately. Yeah, but it's never easy,